Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Taylor. If it's your first time here, welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video. And if you're returning, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking all about cruises. I'm currently in my stateroom on a Princess cruise. I was invited here to create some really cool content for you guys and kind of get more of an idea about cruising. I think that a lot of people have some assumptions or misconceptions about cruises. So I went onto Instagram, posted a little question, and wanted to find out what some of your assumptions about cruises were. I got a ton of responses. Some of them were obvious ones that I would have thought of, and others were ones that hadn't even crossed my mind. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna try to either prove the assumption wrong or just talk about it a little bit more. So the first one is that cruises are just for old people. While there are a ton of old people on this cruise, I'm not gonna lie to you, there are also tons of families, couples, groups of friends. It's really a mixed crowd. There's obviously an allure for cruising for older people because it's a lot easier to get around, but I think it really just depends on what route you're on. Also, ships these days have so much going on, so there's really something for everyone. Cleo recently found out that the demographic of cruising is actually changing. So in the last 2 years, the highest growth of bookings were from the ages of 30 to 39. So really, it's not old people who are the ones cruising everywhere. It's a really mixed crowd. If you're in the Caribbean, you're gonna get a ton of families. It just depends on where you're going. Number two is that they are unsafe. So you hear a lot of stories on the news about cruises being unsafe, about people falling overboard, things like that. I have to say that I've felt incredibly safe while on board. We arrived on Saturday, and before we even departed from the port, we were split up into our assigned muster stations and given a safety briefing. There's a safety video on all the TVs in the rooms. There are signs all over the place with reminders on how to stay safe. A lot of people were asking me about the length of the banisters around the ship. If you have a balcony in your room or you're on one of the top decks, they go pretty high. It's like chest level, so unless you're really leaning over, I don't know how you would fall off. So number three was that they're huge polluters. And obviously there's no way that I can argue that cruises don't create any pollution, because they absolutely do, and it's both water and air pollution. But you know, there are positive steps on helping reduce the footprint that they're making. So specifically with Princess cruises, because that's the cruise ship that I'm on right now and that's the one that I'm having experience about, they are in the process of eliminating single-use plastic. While in port, many ships connect to shore power so that they can turn off their diesel engines. There's an osmosis plant which creates potable water, distilled water from seawater. So when they're far enough out in the sea, they can create their own usable water on board. I think it's also important to focus on the things that you can do to help lessen the footprint. And it's like obvious things like bringing a reusable water bottle. I have mine right here. Another thing you can do is reuse your towels and linens. Turn off the taps when you're brushing your teeth and don't overuse water. And of course, you can also go on a carbon offset website and donate money to a charity to offset what your contribution to the carbon footprint is. I think for a week-long cruise on a mid-sized ship, it's about 36 pounds. Number four, you don't get to see the countries that you're stopping in. So I can totally understand this, because that's what I always thought on cruises, because you're only in the port for a few hours. So we have gone to La Coruña, Bilbao, Bordeaux, and Guernsey. And we've only been there for, several hours, but we've still been able to do quite a bit. I think the best thing to do is either book an excursion or do some research ahead of time so you can plan out your day to make the most of your time in port. The best way to look at it is that it's a great taster. If you decide that you love this destination, you can always come back to it and make a full trip about it. But before you got on this cruise, you never would have known if you would have liked the destination to begin with. Number five, there aren't a lot of food options on board, and this could not be further from the truth. There is a pizza place, ice cream parlor, burger place. There's so many restaurants where you can either do traditional dining, which means that you can choose between two seatings and you'll sit either just with the party that you're with, or you could be placed at a table with other people. Every night the menu changes in the traditional dining restaurants. There's also a cafe that's open 24 hours. There is a spa area that's for adults that serves up healthy food. And there's also 24-hour room service. So I really don't think that you can go hungry. And I also think that the food on here is delicious. I was able to go into the kitchen the other day, which was really awesome to see. And they actually serve 1,300 meals in an hour to people. And I think that that's pretty crazy. The executive chef was really great. He's from Italy. He has a whole crew of amazing sous chefs and cooks, and honestly, they put out such great food on board Princess that I was never hungry, and I don't really think that I had a bad meal. The next one is that there's too many people and not enough deck chairs. So I'm sure that you are aware of how many people are on a cruise ship. I think on this cruise, there's 3,000 people and 1,200 crew members. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And you would think that there's not enough deck chairs for people to sit on. Again, I think that it depends on what destination you're cruising to, whether or not you'd actually care about this, but there's so many deck chairs all over the ship. The next one is that there's lots of seasickness. So I used to get really seasick and it would make me nuts and it sucked and it was awful. But I have to say that since being on this ship, the first day I felt a little bit wobbly. It was more of like feeling drunk than nauseous or anything like that. But if you are feeling sick, you can always go to guest services to get some motion sickness tablets, or you can go down to the medical center and someone will sort you out. But some other tips to fight seasickness is to make sure that you always have something in your stomach. It really does help. I would avoid sitting in your cabin, and if you are going to be sitting in your cabin a lot, I would get a cabin in the middle of the ship because it's the most stable. I would spend as much time outside as possible because the fresh air really does make a difference. I'd avoid sitting in front of a window while you're eating and facing out at the water because it's a little bit uneasy to watch the boat move so fast while you're consuming food. And I would stay hydrated because you just don't want to be nauseous, seasick, and dehydrated at the same time. The next one is that cruise ships are uncomfortable. I have to fully disagree. I got on board and I have slept like a baby every night. It's like sleeping on a cloud. Princess cruises are amazing with their bed situation. They have a 2-inch topper on their mattresses, so it's literally like sleeping on a cloud, and linen is super soft and luxurious, and it's been amazing. So definitely not uncomfortable. And the final assumption is that people are just there to party. So I'd have to completely disagree with this. Of course, people are there to have a good time, but there's so much going on that you don't have to be drinking. You don't have to be at the bar all the time. There's different shows every night. Usually there's one in the theater, there's a live band, there's a comedy performance, there's a basketball court on board, there are movies under the sky. You could go for a swim, you could go to the gym or book a spa treatment. There's literally so much going on that there's really no need to drink at all if you don't want to. So I think that that's just, unless you're going on a specific party cruise, I don't think that you're gonna find that that's the case. So that's all. I hope that I was able to change some of your assumptions about cruises. I'd like to thank Princess Cruises for inviting me along on this trip, and if you liked what you saw, I would love it if you could give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and yeah, come back for more. There's one more video coming up about cruises, so that'll be next week, so stay tuned.